friends of Germanische Heilkunde, dear friends of Dr. Hamer. As it seems, I will start every one of my messages and every one of my newsletters with the very same phrase. Well, okay. I am pleased to welcome so many of you here today for our GHK International Academy Get to Know webinar. Don't panic, we are not getting started right away today. This webinar is intended to introduce you and anyone interested in studying Germanische Heilkunde in a community of like-minded people to our GHK webinar trainings program, which we will launch on Friday, April 7th, 3 p.m. Greenwich time. This is London time, so same time as now. Today's webinar is about what we do, when we do it, how we do it, and why will we do it. And we also want to introduce ourselves to everyone who does not know us yet. Most of you will already know me a bit from one or the other video from my video blog. My name is Johann Holledauer. I was born in Austria. German is my mother language. I first came in contact with Germanische Heilkunde, or new medicine at that time, in 1997. At the time I studied all available books by Dr.Hamer, and I attended almost every study group and seminar by Helmut Pilhar, which he held anywhere nearby Vienna. Since these days, I have been living with and according to this knowledge. And as difficult as might seem to other people to how to look the world without this knowledge, as difficult it is to me without to think not having this knowledge. I know that when you have been trained for all your life what to think about life, the world, biology, and how your body works, and what diseases are and what causes them, because of this, it is not easy to let go of these thinking patterns. But what Dr. Hamer has discovered and passed on to us, I don't have to believe in, because you can experience it yourself. Because Germanische Heilkunde is not only logical, it is biological. It is coherent in itself. And like any real science, it has no contradictions, no dogmas. You don't have to believe in Germanische Heilkunde. Everyone can experience it for themselves. And only through one's own experience does you move on from belief to knowledge. And with the knowledge that you have gained through your own experience on your own body, you don't care at all what any doctor or expert might tell you. Because you know it better, you don't need to believe anything they say. Because you know how your body works. Because you experience it yourself every day. And being aware of it every day of your life. For many of you it may be challenging to imagine how to experience the world, what life might look like once you have this knowledge. When you can consciously see the biological laws in action in real time, it is just as difficult for me to imagine the opposite, to see the life in a way they have tried to teach me or to make me believe in school. I see my life task, my mission, in passing on this knowledge to as many people as possible. And my loyalty belongs to one man only, and this is Dr. Hamer. Without this role model, I would not have the motivation to do what I'm doing, to continue his life work. Dr. Hamer's overall goal was to get these scientific discoveries legal, because only then may Germanische Heilkunde be taught in university clinics, and only then may doctors use this knowledge to really heal their patients. To achieve all this knowledge must reach to as many people as possible, worldwide. For that, we must reach a critical mass, so that this knowledge no longer can be withheld and denied to us. Only when Germanische Heilkunde is legal and taught in university clinics, only then will we live in a world where I too can take my children to a clinic with the safe conscience, in the good knowledge that they will be helped honestly, according to the 5 biological laws of nature. Not like today, where they're sacrificed for profit. So, why does this training last for 4 years? The entire available seminar program of GHK International Academy consists of 60 seminar tutorials, starting with the introductory lecture and ending with the psychosis. Every single tutorial lasts for about 1 to 2 hours, approximately. You don't watch them in a month and understand them all. Learning Germanische Heilkunde by heart is not enough. Not even for the layman. You also have to understand it. And you only get this understanding through your own experience on your own body. In the 4 years of the trainings program, each seminar participant will consciously experience various SPS in his private life, on his own body, and thus verify, in reality, the knowledge he has just studied. Everybody in this trainings program can exchange about it with the other seminar participants, asking questions, and answer the questions of the others. Only when you try to explain somebody something, you will see what you have not yet fully understand. Learning through your own personal experience and together with like-minded people in a community. So, within these 4 years, you will not only have learned Germanische Heilkunde by heart, but you will also be able to think biologically, which is what we need the 4 years of time for. Germanische Heilkunde has been part for 25 years of my life, and I'm still learning new things today. We will start on April 7th with our first basic webinar with the introductory lecture. For me, and in the English language, this is a new chapter to open in my life, a new challenge, but we are not starting at the very beginning. My wife does the translations to the webinars for the Russian language, and who is me if I forget to mention about her. Tonya and Casper already started their GHK International Academy webinar trainings program in Dutch at the beginning of 2022. They already have behind what is ahead of me and us now, the first year of the basics. This January they started the second class of the basics in their language and the first class of the sensible biological special programs, the SPS of the origin level, with their students from the basic class of the previous year. It was Tonya and Casper who developed the concept of GHK webinar trainings program, and they further improved it over the last year. And today they will tell us about their experiences. I'm doing somewhat easier. I only had to translate and copy what they already have been proven successful in Dutch language. I would also like to mention that without the support of Tonya and Casper, I would not have been able to realize this whole project of GHK International Academy and our webinar trainings program. Without the support of Tonya and Casper, none of this would exist in the English language. And with that, I pass on the microphone to Tonya and Casper.
Hello everyone, and thank you, John, for giving me the microphone. My name is Tonya Nijenhuis. I was born in the Netherlands, and I'm a mother of 5 children and have several grandchildren. I graduated as a physiotherapist, and in 1989 I came into contact with the Germanische, at that time called Neue Medizin or New Medicine. From 1990 to 1996, I studied monthly with Dr.Hamer in Cologne. At that time, I translated the then German chart into Dutch. Together with Dr. Hamer, I gave lectures on Germanische Heilkunde, including in Lindau at the International Congress of the World Foundation of Natural Science in 1995. I lectured on the intrauterine conflicts which an unborn child can experience in the womb. On this topic, among others, I was commissioned by Helmut to write the pregnancy seminar tutorial part 2. It was amazing how Dr. Hamer kept making new and additional discoveries at that time. For me, it was a great honor to witness this. His discoveries are a salvation for humanity. No more fear for diseases. When 2010 Casper came my way, we spread the Germanische Heilkunde in the Netherlands until 2015. In August 2020, Helmut asked us if we wanted to translate his seminar tutorials and the website into Dutch. We thought that was quite an honor, and together we finished this assignment in 2 years. When we were ready with the basics, it was our idea to start a webinar training course, because more than studying the tutorials themselves is needed for many. Many people learn more efficiently when it is structured and in a community. I studied with Dr. Hamer and did translations for him, and while translating, questions kept coming up to me. At that time, I had the opportunity to ask my questions at the source with the master himself, Dr. Hamer. That was very instructive. But where should people go now if they have questions? In addition to starting the first year of the webinar training course last year, we created quizzes at the seminar tutorials. There are 30 questions on each seminar tutorial basic principle. This way, one can check whether one has understood the topic. The result after 1 year of basic principles is clearly noticeable. Current first-year students have fewer questions during the webinar than last year's student. And do you know why? We have created a forum for the first-year student on Telegram, and that's where the second-year students answers their question. Within a year, the students' knowledge has increased tremendously. Among the students, likewise, psychologically thinking increasingly changed to biological experiencing. We have also a group of interns in addition to the first and second year students. These signed up from last year's group of students. They now give some webinars for first year students, and in this way they gain experience in presenting the Germanische Heilkunde. And at the same time they deepen their understanding of the topic. Our vision is that in the future many current students will become teachers at the academy or give lectures around the country. There are currently student groups throughout the Netherlands and Belgium which meet regularly. This was an initiative by the students themselves. My vision from 33 years ago that everyone should be aware of the knowledge of Germanische Heilkunde is now gradually revealing itself. Of course, by no means is everyone interested in it, but the opportunity is now there for everyone to delve into it. I hope you will enjoy the training as much as our students. And with a presenter like John, who has immersed himself in the Germanische Heilkunde for many, many years, that will certainly be the case. And we, Casper and I, will support John during the webinars. I now turn the floor over to Casper. Thank you for listening.
So, hello. Just a moment. Yeah. Okay. My name is Casper Rutten. I was born in 1962 in Amsterdam, and I'm an electrical engineer, a father of 4 children. I have pursued many different occupations as an electrical engineer, sales engineer, high school teacher for industrial automation, factory manager. In 2005 I became acquainted with Germanische Heilkunde at a lecture by Helmut Pilhar. I found it fascinating how precise the Germanische Heilkunde works and the accuracy one can interpret conflicts. Very fascinating. In 2006 I started with translating of the Germanische Heilkunde. The same year I created the first Dutch website on Germanische Heilkunde. I went further and further into it, not only attended seminars by Helmut Pilhar, but I also attended a seminar by Dr.Hamer in Spain. In 2007 I was asked to give presentations in the Netherlands and the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. Meanwhile, I met Roman Jung, who was authorized by Dr.Hamer to give psychosis seminars. Roman Jung taught me how to give psychosis seminars, and I see psychosis as my specialty. In 2009, a national television channel asked me to defend Germanische Heilkunde in a report on alternative medicine. Besides the scientific diagnostic chart, I translated the books A Concise Introduction and A Short Introduction, which are all published by the publisher of Dr. Hamer, Amici T. Dirk. In 2010 I met Tonya, and we started giving GHK presentations together. We also visited Dr. Hamer in Norway several times to discuss things further. Until 2013 we were actively giving presentations and providing information about the Germanische Heilkunde in study groups. In 2015 we moved to another country in the south of Europe. We both knew Helmut Pilhar, the only lecturer in theory Germanische Heilkunde authorized by Dr. Hamer. Helmut wanted to duplicate himself in several languages and asked us in 2020 to translate his seminar tutorials and entire website, which was quite an honor. At that time, we were not aware of a huge amount of information of the seminar's tutorials content. A perfect structure with the seminar modules basics, then the SPS, and last but not least the psychosis. While translating, we became increasingly enthusiastic and began January 2022 with the basic principles training, which was a great success. And now we want to support John with our experience to set up his training program so that students can take full advantage of the content of the tutorials. So that was my short introduction, and I give the word back to John.
Thank you, Casper. Thank you, Tonya. I have to mention Natalie cannot be present here today. She have to take care of the children, otherwise it would be too noisy. So Natalie is of course also a part of the team. She have her language, this is Russian. So now you have heard yourself how the two convinced me and inspired me to realize this trainings program also in the English language. So let's get to the practical part. What is the goal of GHK International Academy? Our goal is to bring Germanische Heilkunde to as many people as possible as we can reach. And that true to the original, without censorship, without biological correct thinking patterns and permitted speech patterns, without isms and woke ideology, to pass on Germanische Heilkunde to the people in the way as Dr. Hamer has entrusted his legacy to us. And no, men cannot get pregnant, period. For those who feel offended by this reality, well, there are plenty of opportunities in the internet to study Germanische Heilkunde in woke correct language or the way the political correct censorship has made of it. Our intended audience is the layman, not the therapist. Mother Nature has already programmed the therapy into us. So, if you know Germanische Heilkunde, you do not need a therapist in 95% of the cases. Moreover, there is no Hamer therapist either, because there is no training. For that, one must not only know all SPSs. Whoever wants to be a therapist must have medical training at the patient's bedside, not online. To be a therapist, you must be able to read the brain CTs and organ CTs and lab findings and interpret them correctly. And you have to be able to empathize with the soul of a baby, as well as with the businessman who went bankrupt, or an 80-year-old who has been chased off by his children to an old people's home. Thus, the Hamer therapist must know much more than the specialist of conventional medicine, much more than he can learn in the medical university of today. So there is not such a thing as a Hamer therapist, because they can only be trained and certified by Dr. Hamer himself, by no one else. And even for Dr. Hamer, it was made almost impossible to do these examinations. Our goal is that this legacy of Dr. Hamer is known in every household, that every mother knows how she can help herself, her sick child. So we only can achieve this goal together. When will these webinars take place now? We start our first webinar on April 7th with the introductory lecture. In it, we also will take care a lot of what has happened, the biography of Dr. Hamer, about who Dr. Hamer was and what else he did. How did one thing lead to another so that we are at the place where we are today? And it is also an overview of the basics regarding the science that will come upon us the following year. This webinar, the second webinar of the same topic, will then take place again 2 weeks later, but then at 11 p.m. London time. Why? Unlike German, the English language is very widely spoken, and I cannot expect students from Australia or Philippines to get up in the middle of the night and sit in the front of the computer for 2 hours without falling asleep again. We keep it that way. Each basic webinar takes place twice, on the first and on the third Friday of each month. How do the webinars proceed? We expect our students to study the seminar tutorials for themselves before the webinar, and for themselves watch the video, read the ebooks, and perhaps listening to the audio files while you're driving in a car, so that you're familiarizing yourself with the topic. Everyone who studies the seminar tutorials will have questions at the end. Please send me these questions per email until 3 days prior to the webinar. I will then prepare a detailed answer with graphics. In the webinar, I will only give a summary introduction, a review for you. Afterward, I will answer all the questions, and you will see there are many questions asked and explained that you don't know yourself yet either, but you haven't thought up about it, because it has not crossed your mind. But there will also be questions about things we cannot answer. We don't know everything either. We don't have the knowledge of every detail. Even Dr. Hamer does not know everything in detail. There is still so much to research. We are not a medical doctor, and we don't want to be. Our goal is to teach you and everyone how to think biologically. When you seek to get all your answers, your patient's answers, from your therapists, we are not a therapist, it's not the right place for you. The webinar will take about 2 hours. If there are many questions, it will take longer. If you have understand everything right away and there are no questions, well, it will be shorter. At the end, questions can also be asked and explained spontaneously. All webinars will be recorded and published in the corresponding tutorial on your account on the homepage. So you can watch the webinars as a video on your own account in the homepage, in case you miss the date. What else? Quizzes. After the webinar, after the second webinar, the first week of the month, you will find 3 quizzes in your account. Each have 10 questions to the topic. Anyone can participate in the quizzes. You don't have to, but I recommend to do, because these quizzes are designed with the topic of the previous webinar, and you will quickly recognize whether you have understand everything correctly or which topic you better read up one more time. We will also have the private study group for the basics on Telegram, where also the webinars will take place. My public Telegram chat will remain, of course, but the focus will be on the basic study group. And for that, I hope you will try to manage to develop as Casper and Tonya do it in their language in Dutch. And so you can actively participate and join in the success of a study group. After 1 year, when you have gone through all the basics, and if you have also participated, then you will know better about GHK basics than many who call themselves experts today. After this basic year, you can start studying the origin level, the SBS. But not everyone will be qualified to move forward to this SBS class. First, you must pass an annual average with about minimum of 60% score. And why is that? Because we want to ensure that you have not just board the basics bundle, but also understand them. We will be confronted with other topics next year, and you can only understand them if you have understand the basics. And we also want to avoid that we are confronted with basics questions in the SBS classes. So if your score is not sufficient to participate in the SBS webinars, then you are welcome to repeat the basic class the following year. Cost you nothing extra. The basic bundle is well for 3 years. Those who wish to have a partial certificate can do so at the end of every year. However, then the 60% score is not enough. There you need additional tests for that. For this you have to write your own testimonials and be able to explain them in detail. There's also a verbal exam then for this. For all the additional tests, their evaluation and the certificate, you also have to pay additional fee of $250 per year. However, this is only for those who would like to hold the certificate in their hand, so that you can prove the successful participation in the corresponding study year, or to prove the successful completion of the entire trainings program after 4 years in written. Okay. Question in the chat. What can I do with the certificate? Does it make me a hermotherapist? This is a very good question. Thank you for this question. This is important. This is very important. Okay. Helmut Pilhar emphasized in really every single one of his videos that he is not a therapist, because the therapist has to know so much more than he does. He could not train a therapist because he could not read brain CTs or origin CTs or lab values. But the hermotherapist must be able to do all that. Helmut always emphasized on his videos that his audience is not the therapist. After all, how is he supposed to teach someone something he could not himself? But This audience is also not the patient, because he cannot help them, because he is not a therapist. He was not the therapist. His audience was always only the healthy but interested one. His focus on this can be found in every one of his messages and videos. Helmut's audience was always the individual who wanted to learn and apply Germanische Heilkunde for himself, for his own health, for his own life and for his own family. It was never the patient, it was never the therapist. He could not do all that, because to become a Hamer therapist you need to be trained at a medical university. At least 50% of the training is done at the patient's bedside, not online. Helmut had never access to the medical facilities, X-ray machines, computer tomograph, laboratories. But we need all that if we want to train Hamer therapists. And how long does a regular medical degree take? 10 years? How was he supposed to do that? This was never his objective. The next problem is, who should issue the medical certificate for him? Because this is an official authorization to practice medicine on a real patient. Such documents are issued by medical boards. If he had issued such medical professional authorizations, he would have made himself liable to prosecution, and the deep state would have taken him out of business after the first issue of the first fake certificate. Also, this alleged therapist would make themselves punishable in almost every of the countries if they go on with this to the patients with this fake medical certificate. And if they had understand Germanische Heilkunde, they would also have understand that they are not a Hamer therapist. Training for teachers who can pass on Germanische Heilkunde to interested people, true to the original? Yes, of course. Also lecturers, of course. This is exactly what we need to bring this knowledge to as many people as possible, to the people who want to learn and help with Germanische Heilkunde themselves, who want to become free from fear and dependence on medicine, free themselves and their family, but not those who want to make business of it. Helmut Pilhar trained me to be a teacher, not a therapist. I know too much about Germanische Heilkunde to know that I don't know enough to be a therapist. My mandate was the same as for all the other translators from the beginning when we founded Academy Germanische Heilkunde with Helmut Pilhar, to translate all the knowledge Helmut has access to, the homepage and all the seminar modules and videos precisely according to the original into English. That is what I did. My mandate was to go on and give webinars and lectures, to pass on this knowledge as accurate as possible to the original, to as many people as possible, worldwide, to carry on Dr.Hamer's legacy. And I fulfill what I have been commissioned with, just like any other translators do, despite all the obstacles which occasionally makes this task not so easy for us, because there are very many people out there who have no desire in this knowledge to exist, which exists already in the German language, also being distributed in the English language, at least not whole or faithful to the truth. I wear these attacks, no matter how dirty and fake they are, as a tribute, because it proves that we are doing something right and doing something of value. That somebody out there who wants to prevent that this knowledge is spread in the original, in English. The GHK Academy teaches people how to think biologically. To people who want to learn this knowledge for themselves and possibly even become teacher or lecturer themselves, just as Helmut Pilhar always done in German-speaking countries. That is how we went on to do. The same way in any other language. That is how we agree. That is how we was commissioned. And this is how we are doing it. If you are a doctor of conventional medicine or a therapist, regardless of your tradition, and you would like to learn Germanische Heilkunde to help your patients better, then you are of course welcome. However, you must be able to estimate yourself how much of this knowledge you can use for the benefit of your patients without jeopardizing your medical license. But of course, you are welcome. But if your objective is to allege Germanische Heilkunde to your previous knowledge, to bring it somehow in harmony, or perhaps to mix it, that will not happen, because that can't work. This has only been achieved by doctors or therapists who have never understood Germanische Heilkunde. I cannot make a Hamer therapist of you, even if you're already a doctor, because for this training we would need access to medical facilities, computer tomography, laboratories and real patients with the brain CT, and asking the patients the questions accordingly. I can't offer that to you. Nobody can offer that to you. I cannot teach you anything about reading brain CTs. But without being able to read a brain CT, you are not a Hamer therapist. Helmut Pilhar and Dr.Hamer always refer to this self-professed Hamer therapist as Hans Würste. I'm not going to translate this now. So, what can you do with this certificate now? As I said, I can not train you to be a Hamer therapist, nor can anyone else. Not even Dr. Hamer could do that, because precisely to prevent this, they has withdrawn the necessary authorization, the medical license. Quote from the reason from the verdict: because of not renouncing the new medicine and not converting to conventional medicine. So they not only copied the methods, but also the reasons for the judgment. They have been borrowing this from the Holy Inquisition from the Catholic Church, seemingly. There can be Hamer therapists only once Germanische Heilkunde is legal. Only if the system we live in does not chase us and shuts down the hospitals in which Germanische Heilkunde is practiced. The certificate does not make you a therapist. It only confirms that you have successfully completed the trainings program. But those who graduated this certificate can become a future lecturer or teacher of Germanische Heilkunde at the GHK Academy. But we do not guarantee that after 4 years you will be a teacher at the GHK Academy, because not everyone who studied and understands GHK in detail also has the talent to explain this knowledge to others. In the 4 years, it will become clear who has the talent, who brings the necessary enthusiasm and the motivation, who can explain questions to the student group correctly, and in such a way that the content is easy to understand. We will ask the students if they would like to become a therapist or a teacher or a lecturer at GHK Academy, or be announced as a lecturer on the website. It is not that everyone with a good score is also a good teacher. We and only we determine that, based on what we observe in these 4 years. Of course, anyone who wants can give lectures in Germanische Heilkunde or organize study groups in your city, where you live and where you can meet regularly with real people in real life. This is the best way to learn. One or the other will wonder now, how much longer will this guy now talk? Don't worry. I think I have covered the most important topics. Just one more thing. How can you participate in our trainings program? And what will it cost you? Our working basis for the webinars are the seminar tutorials, the video on demand, the ebooks and the audio files. So you need them. If you have fulfilled the requirements to participate in the trainings program by purchasing the complete package for all the 4 years, or at least the basic bundle for the participation of the first year for the basics, then you will find a button in your account to join the trainings program. You just hit it. I will then receive an automatic email from the system, and I will reply to you your personal access link to the study group on Telegram. Attention, you can only use this link yourself. It is attached to your account. If you have either the basic bundle or the complete package, you will find everything else you need to join in your account. The 3 questions, the 3 quizzes with 10 questions each after the webinar, the video recordings of the previous webinars. That's all. Otherwise it costs you nothing. I think this is affordable to anyone who really is interested in learning Germanische Heilkunde. The $250 a year is only for those students who want to hold the certificate in their hands at the end of the year. I will share my screen once. I can show you. So screen for you so you can see how that works. You log in here. Those who have their account are probably aware of it. Those who still does not have an account, here you can see how that works. This is my personal account, and here is what you find what you need. The basics, the special programs, SBS, and the psychosis. So we click the basics because that's first year what it's all about. Here you have an overview of all the basic tutorials from the common threads, introductory lecture. I open one for you so you can see how that looks like. So here you can download the audiobook, here you can download the ebook, and here if you click the video will start. The video you cannot download, it's a video on demand. You can watch it as many times as you like, but online only. This is not downloadable. So, and the important part for you, if you want to join the webinar, is here. You click here, the box, I request for access to the Telegram Basic Principle Group, and you hit this button. So that's how I get an email from the system with a request from you that you would like to, that you are authorized, you're qualified for, you have the bundle, the whole or the basic, and you would like to join the webinars. That's all you need to do. I will return you per email your access link. Intention, it's logged to your account. You can only use it yourself and not share it with everybody. So if you go here, you will find the schedule, when, what date we do which seminar. April 7th and April 21st we do the tutorial introductory lecture. On May 5th and 19th we do the history of development and so on. After the second date, when the webinar is done, then you will find the quizzes for both webinars, the first and the last, in your private account on the homepage. Okay, I recommend to do the quizzes. It's fun, but it's very educational, and you will immediately see if you got everything correct or not. So this would be here. Then there are no quizzes yet, but here you will find them after the second time first webinar have taken place, back to the account. So that's how you can find everything you need on the homepage.
Yes, I want to say a final thing.
But Casper, we cannot see you for some reason. Do you have the camera?
Sorry, one button more.
Okay, now
so yes, you switch off. Can you also switch off your micro, because last time you had the micro open.
So
and this gives a little bit of disturbance.
Now it's on.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I want to make a statement regarding Helmut's statements at the time that he lived, and the statements of Nico Capitanis and his wife, his widow, Erika, Pilhar at the moment. In these statements they do, John is constantly accused of stealing Helmut's website. Well, if there was a theft, I am the one responsible for it. I was the only one who had access to Helmut's server and managed this server for Helmut for 1.5 years free of charge. I am also the one who disabled Helmut's server after Helmut locked out John and me, and we no longer had access to our own data language area. After I disabled the server, I used my admin access to grant myself access again and locked out Helmut. A few hours later, the website was back online. Helmut, meanwhile, had contacted me by phone to come to a solution. In doing so, I had told him that the server would be available again if he fulfilled his agreements he had with the translators, and that was not negotiable for him, and called it extortion. Incidentally, Helmut technically had the ability to gain access to the server because the server's contract was in his name, and he ultimately had a higher authorization than I did. However, Helmut decided to run the website again from his old server, which has been used 1.5 years before and was therefore missing 1.5 years of data. From that point on, it was also no longer possible for me to recover anything at all, and Helmut therefore did not ask, despite his own claim that he tried to mediate. His wife Erika also knows about this because I wrote her personally about the matter and also received a reply from her. And he and Nico were completely outside of this, even though they now claim to have been witnesses. This was an action on my part, without consulting the other translators. This was on June 21, 2022. Shortly before the incident, Helmut also informed all the translators that if they did not want to participate in his new plan of a franchise formula, they would be removed from his website from September the 1st, 2022. He has had 5 people working for him without pay for 2 years, and when the work is almost finished, he terminates the cooperation. I set up the new websites for English, Russian and Dutch with the modules we translated and designed ourselves. Helmut himself has confirmed in writing that these translations are our intellectual property. So it is completely legal to use this information, nor do we need permission from his widow for this. This in short is the story. Who better to know than the perpetrator himself? The bottom line is that both Erika and Nico are selling lies to put John in a bad light. John is constantly attacked and accused of everything, while it is clear, at least to Erika, how things really turned out. But apparently, this is no longer about the facts, but about the battle over a particular language area, in this case English. In the 1.5 years I have experienced Nico in our weekly translator group meetings, when he has been present at all, I know him as someone who promises a lot, does nothing, and we have caught him in several lies. It was clear to all 5 translators in the group that Nico was untrustworthy and had other intentions. Only for Helmut was it not clear, despite several warnings. And now Nico is using Helmut's declarations as a judicial verdict and making himself a witness to a crime he himself has not personally experienced, only hearsay from Helmut. Well, let's be clear. When it comes to the facts that he wants to denounce a crime, he should report to me. In all other cases, he is only concerned with reputational damage, apparently supported by Helmut's widow, Erika, Pilhar. That's just what I want to have been said, because it seems that this rumors don't stop, and that's my contribution. Thank you, Hans.
Okay, thank you, Casper, to clarify this. You know, it's one thing if I say I did not anything wrong, but 5 others say you did, whom you're gonna trust, but I does not have, and I still don't have the skills to build or move or block or reblock or whatever a homepage. I does not have the access key except then the English part, which I has translated myself. Even I wanted to, I could not destroy anything. And everybody know that. Helmut know it, Erika know it, Nick know it, Andy know it, and even Giovanna know it. They all was very much aware of all the details. They all know the truth. And we was 5 translators in the end. And none of them is attacked at all. Not with a single word. Only me. We had all the same agreements, the same contracts. We was all in the same decision. We all said no to Helmut's new contracts proposals. It was not gonna happen, this contract. It would have robbed us of all our legal rights, of our years of work, of labor. A legal trap. We all rejected this in the same way. But I am the only one who is constantly attacked. Why is that? Because it was only always about the English language. They wanted to have access to the English translated homepage and to the English videos and seminar tutorials. This is what it's all about. And they failed in their plan to steal. Even Helmut announced it with email. I published this anytime, where he announced to me to steal my homepage, to give it to Nick. He's already looking forward to it. I translated all of our communications with Helmut, Erika, and the others from German to English to forward this to Giovanna, to seek help for her to getting involved in this, to reminding Helmut that he has contracts he is binded to, and he has to stick to his contractual agreements. Giovanna was busy with her own business. She doesn't involve in this time. But she knows the truth for a fact. And now, they all lie in the same choir, in the same choir. For what reason I can't tell. But I know it's for the English language only. Somebody don't want the original Germanische Heilkunde in English being out there. This was my final word. I thank you for your participation, for your time and your interest, and I hope to see you again at the webinars on April 7th, or at least in the channel, in the chat on Telegram. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye.
Germanische Heilkunde is considered by those who have understood its underlying principles to be the most significant discovery in known human history. While conventional medicine is based on more than 5,000 hypotheses, Germanische Heilkunde can be proven at any time to be the only medicine that is scientifically verifiable. With Germanische Heilkunde, for the first time in recorded human history, there is a scientifically verifiable medicine for each patient case. More than 30 medical universities have already confirmed this in the past. Still, Dr. Hamer's discoveries have been suppressed and denigrated for over 40 years. Take your health into your own hands and learn Germanische Heilkunde while you are still healthy. For this purpose, the GHK International Academy offers you an extensive program of seminar tutorials from the basics through the organ level to the psychoses. This seminar program will change your relationship with your body and your health once and for all. You will find the direct link to the homepage of the GHK International Academy below the video.